Captain Marcus Reed stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus and stared at the massive space station floating before them. The station was bigger than any city on Earth. It sparkled with lights that seemed to dance across its surface like stars. After 6 months of traveling through deep space, they had finally reached their destination. "Captain, we are getting a signal from the station," said Amy Johnson from her position at the communications console. Her voice was steady, but Marcus could hear the excitement underneath. "I could put it on screen, Amy." The main display flickered and showed a creature unlike anything humans had ever seen. It looked like it was made of pure light, with features that shifted and changed as it spoke. When it talked, the voice came through as perfect English, though. Marcus knew it was being translated by their computers. "Welcome, humans of Earth. I am Ambassador Kellen of the Luminari people. We represent the Galactic Federation. We have been expecting you." Lieutenant Grace Walker moved closer to Marcus. She was his tactical officer and never fully trusted first meetings. "Captain, their weapon systems are offline. No immediate threat detected." Marcus nodded and stepped forward to address the alien ambassador. "Thank you for meeting with us, Ambassador Kellen. I am Captain Marcus Reed of the United Earth ship Prometheus. We come in peace, seeking friendship with other worlds." The light being seemed to shimmer with what might have been amusement. "Peace. Yes, we expected as much. All young species speak of peace when they first reach the stars. Please, Doc, your ship at Bay 7. The Federation Council wishes to meet with you." Tom Bradley, the chief engineer, looked up from his console. "Captain, their docking systems are completely different from ours, but I think I can make it work." "Do it, Tom." "Ain't." Hour later, Marcus walked through the corridors of the alien station with Amy and Grace beside him. The walls seemed to glow with their own light, and the air felt strange, like breathing during a thunderstorm. Other aliens moved past them, some floating, others walking on legs that bent in impossible directions. "This place is incredible," Amy whispered, eyes wide as she watched a group of crystal-like beings drift past them. They were led into a vast chamber where dozens of alien beings waited. At the center sat 3 figures that were clearly the leaders. Ambassador Kellen floated there, along with a tall, gray creature with too many eyes, and something that looked like a living tree. "Humans of Earth," Kellen began. "Welcome to the Galactic Federation. We are a union of 412 peaceful species. We have watched your world for some time." The gray creature spoke next, its voice like grinding metal. "I am Counselor Vex of the Nexari. Your species shows promise, but you are still very young, very primitive." Marcus felt Grace tense beside him, but he kept his voice calm. "We may be young, but we are eager to learn and grow." The tree-like being rustled its branches. "I am Elder Root of the Gardener Collective. We offer you a place in our federation. There is a small world on the rim of our territory, Kepler 44 to BU. May establish a colony there. In return, you will agree to stay out of galactic politics for the next 1,000 years. 1,000 years? Grace stepped forward before Marcus could stop her. That seems like a very long time. The aliens in the chamber made various sounds that might have been laughter. Kellen's light grew brighter. "Lieutenant Walker, 2 species that live for tens of thousands of years. 1,000 is barely a moment. Your people need time to mature." Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. The lights changed from soft white to harsh red. Aliens began moving quickly through the corridors outside. A new voice boomed through the chamber, speaking in a language the humans could not understand. But their translators worked quickly. "Devourer ships detected at the edge of the system. Okay, all defensive units to battle stations. This is not a drill." Counselor Vex's many eyes went wide. "Possible. The Devourers have not been seen in this sector for over 50 years. "What are Devourers?" Marcus asked. But his question was lost as the station shook violently. Through the transparent walls of the chamber, he could see explosions lighting up space in the distance. Ambassador Kellen turned to them. For the first time, the light being showed something like fear. "Captain Reed, you must take your ship and leave immediately. The Devourers are ancient enemies. They consume entire worlds to feed themselves. Our fleets will hold them as long as possible, but you must escape while you can." Another explosion rocked the station, this one much closer. Through the walls, Marcus could see massive ships approaching. They were not built like normal spacecraft. Instead, they looked organic, like enormous sea creatures swimming through space. Their hulls pulsed with veins of sickly green light. "How many ships do they have?" Grace asked. Elder Root's branches shook with terror. "Sensors show 300. Devour bioships. Our defense fleet has only 150 vessels. And how many Federation ships are battle-ready?" Marcus pressed. Counselor Vex made a grinding sound. "Captain, you do not understand. Federation ships are not designed for war. We have had peace for over 2,000 years. Our vessels are for exploration and transport. They have light defensive systems only." As if to prove his point, they watched through the wall as a beautiful Federation ship. All curves and flowing lines was torn apart by something that looked like a living whale with teeth the size of buildings. Marcus looked at Amy and Grace, then back at the alien leaders. "Ambassador Kellen, how long can your ships hold them? Perhaps 30 minutes? Maybe less?" Kellen's light was flickering now. "Captain, please, take your people and go. There is no shame in retreat when facing the Devourers." But Marcus was not thinking about retreat. He was thinking about the 12 human ships that had traveled with the Prometheus. They were military vessels, built for war. Earth had sent them expecting to find either friends or enemies among the stars. They had found friends, but now those friends needed help. "Grace, contact the fleet. Tell Commander Hayes to bring all ships to battle readiness." Captain Grace stared at him. "Sir, they have 300 ships. We have 12. "I heard the numbers, Lieutenant. Amy, open a channel to the Federation fleet." The aliens in the chamber stared at Marcus as if he had lost his mind. Kellen floated closer. "Captain Reed, surely you do not intend to fight? Your ships are small, primitive. What could you possibly do against the Devourers?" Marcus smiled. And there was something in that smile that made the peaceful aliens take a step back. "Ambassador, you are about to learn something about humans. We might be young and we might be primitive, but we have been fighting wars for our entire history. And we are very, very good at it." The station shook again as more Federation ships were destroyed. In the distance, the Devourer fleet moved closer, their bioships pulsing with hunger. Marcus activated his communicator. "This is Captain Reed to all Federation vessels. Human fleet is moving to engage the enemy. Recommend you fall back to defensive positions around the station." Ambassador Kellen's light flashed frantically. "Captain, this is madness. You will all be killed." "Maybe," Marcus said calmly, "but maybe not. You are about to see what happens when you threaten something a human cares about." Outside 12. Human warships moved forward into space, their weapons charging, and their crews ready for battle. The Devourers had never faced humans before. They were about to learn that sometimes the smallest predator is the most dangerous one. The 12 human ships moved through space like wolves hunting in the night. Captain Marcus Reed watched from the bridge of the Prometheus as his small fleet approached the massive Devourer armada. Behind them, the Federation station's lights flickered as explosions lit up the darkness around it. "Distance to target, 2 million kilometers and closing," reported Grace Walker from her tactical station. Her voice was steady, but her hands moved quickly over her controls, checking weapons. "Systems for the third time." "Tom, how are our engines?" Marcus asked. "Running at 100%, Captain." "All systems green," Tom Bradley replied from engineering. "The reactor is purring like a cat." Amy Johnson looked up from her communications console. "Captain, I am getting panic transmissions from the Federation fleet. They want to know what we are doing." "Tell them to stay back and watch," Marcus said. He opened a channel to the other human ships. "All vessels, this is Reed, remember? We are not just fighting for ourselves. We are fighting for everyone behind us. Make it count." 11 voices responded as one. "Understood, Captain." The Devourer ships were unlike anything the humans had expected. Each one was enormous, at least 3 times the size of a human warship. They looked alive, with hulls that pulsed and writhed like the skin of some giant animal. Green veins of light ran along their surfaces, and they had what could only be described as mouths at their front ends filled with rows of metallic teeth. "My God," whispered Grace as she got her first close look at the enemy. "They really do look like they want to eat us?" "Weapons range in 30 seconds," called out Lieutenant David Hayes from the destroyer U.S. Vengeance. "Should we spread out for attack formation?" "Negative," Marcus replied. "Stay tight, pack formation. We hunt together." The alien observers on the Federation station watched in confusion as the human ships moved closer together instead of spreading out like normal space tactics required. Ambassador Kellen floated near the observation deck, his light flickering with worry. "What are they doing?" asked Counselor Vex. "Their formation makes no sense. It will all be destroyed together." On the Prometheus, Dr. Emma Foster worked quickly at her science station. As the expedition's xenobiologist, she had been studying the sensor readings of the Devourer ships since they appeared. What she found surprised her. Captain Emma said, looking up from her data, "I think I know what these things are." "Talk to me, Doctor." "The Devourers are not really predators. Look at their formation, their behavior patterns. They move like a herd, not a pack. They're prey animals that got too big and too hungry. They attack because they are afraid, not because they are natural hunters." Marcus thought about this as his ships entered weapons range. The first Devourer shots came at them, beams of green energy that could slice through normal starship hulls like paper. But the human ships were not normal. They had been built for war, with heavy armor and powerful shields. "All ships, evasive maneuvers." "Pattern Delta," Marcus ordered. The 12 human vessels suddenly split apart and began moving in a complex dance around the Devourer fleet. They moved like a pack of wolves, circling a herd of buffalo, each ship knowing exactly where the others would be without needing to be told. The Federation observers gasped as they watched the human ships dodge between the massive Devourer vessels, firing precise shots at weak points in their organic hulls. The aliens had never seen anything like it. "How do they coordinate so perfectly?" Ambassador Kellen asked in wonder. "There is no central command ship. Each vessel moves independently, yet they work as one." Lieutenant Colonel Jake Thompson stood in the transport bay of the UES Wolverine, checking his armor one last time. Round him, 50 Marines prepared their weapons and equipment. These men and women had trained for years to fight in space, on planets, and inside enemy ships. "Hey, listen. Up!" Jake called out. "We are about to do something that has never been done before. We are going to board one of those bioships and take it apart from the inside. The aliens think we are crazy. Maybe we are. These things want to eat our new friends, and we are not going to let that happen." The Marines cheered, their voices echoing through the transport bay. Jake continued, "Remember your training. These ships are alive so they can heal damage. Hit them hard and fast. Work in teams. Watch each other's backs. And if you see something that looks important, blow it up." On the bridge of the Prometheus, Amy was monitoring all communication channels. She heard the chatter between the human ships and realized something important. "Captain, the crews are not just following orders. They're enjoying this." Marcus looked at her with surprise. "What do you mean?" "Listen to the traffic. Pilots are laughing. The gunners are joking with each other. They are treating this like a game, like they are playing with the Devourers instead of fighting them." She was right. Across the human fleet, the crews worked with a kind of happy efficiency that the Federation had never seen in warfare. To them, war was a terrible thing, something to be avoided at all costs. To the humans, it seemed to be something they were born for. "U.S. Thunder to all ships," came a voice over the comm. "I have 3 Devourers chasing me. Anyone want to help me show them how to play tag?" 2 more human ships immediately moved to help. Catching the Devourers in a crossfire that tore through their organic hulls, Dr. Emma Foster made another discovery as she watched the battle unfold. "Captain, the Devourers are getting more afraid. Their formation is breaking down. They are starting to panic." "Good," Marcus said. "Amy, patch me through to the fleet. It's all channels. Maximum power." When Amy nodded, Marcus began to speak. But what came out of his mouth was not words. It was a sound that made the peaceful aliens on the station step back in fear. It was a human war cry, loud and fierce and full of joy in battle. One by one, the other human ships joined in. 11 more voices added to the sound, creating a chorus of human aggression that echoed across space. The Federation had never heard anything like it. The effect on the Devourers was immediate. The massive bioships began to pull back, their formations falling apart as panic spread through their fleet. They had come expecting to find easy prey, but instead they had found something that hunted them back. "Impossible," whispered Counselor Vex as he watched 3 human ships tear apart a Devourer that was 10 times their size. How can such small vessels defeat something so large? Ambassador Kellen's light pulsed with a new understanding. They're not fighting like civilized beings. They're fighting like animals, like predators. On the Prometheus, Marcus smiled as he watched his pack tear into the Devourer herd. The aliens were right. Humans were predators. They had always been predators. And now the galaxy was about to learn what that really meant. The Devourers began to retreat, but the humans followed, howling their war cries across the void. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Centos Prime. Commander David Hayes stood at the window of the newly built human embassy on the Federation capital world and watched alien ships come and go from the massive spaceport. Everything had changed since that day, when 12 human ships had driven off 300 Devourer vessels. The news had spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Every species in the Federation now knew about humanity, and they all had different reactions to what they had learned. "Commander Hayes, you have another meeting request," said Rachel Green, walking into his office with a data pad. Rachel was Earth's first official diplomat to the galaxy, and her job had become much harder since the battle. "Who is it this time?" David asked, not turning away from the window. "The Harmonian Peace Council. They want to discuss what they call the human problem again," David sighed. The Harmonians were one of the most peaceful species in the galaxy. They had not fought a war in over 5,000 years. To them, humans were like a disease that might spread violence throughout their perfect, peaceful society. What do they want now? Rachel looked at her notes. They are asking the Federation Council to vote on resolution 445. They want all human ships banned from Harmonian space. They also want humans to undergo what they call aggression therapy before being allowed to interact with other species. Aggression therapy, David repeated with a bitter laugh. They want to cure us of being human. The door chimed and Tom Bradley walked in. He had been promoted to chief engineer for all human operations in Federation space. His face looked worried. "David, we have a problem! 3 more species have joined the Harmonian petition. The architects, the gentlefolk, and the crystal singers. They are all demanding that humans be quarantined." David finally turned away from the window. "How many species support the quarantine now?" 47, Rachel answered. "But we also have good news. 63 species have spoken against the quarantine. They say humans have the right to exist as they are." Before David could respond, his communication device beeped with an urgent message. The sender was listed as unknown, but the message made his eyes widen. "Rachel, Tom, you need to see this." The message was short and written in perfect English. "Commander Hayes, we represent the Shadowrunners. We wish to meet with human representatives. We believe we have much in common. We'll send coordinates if you agree. Reply within 24 hours. Tom frowned. "Shadowrunners? Who are they?" Rachel's face went pale. "They are assassins. They work in the empty spaces between star systems. No government claims them, but everyone fears them. They have been operating for over 1,000 years. "Why would assassins want to meet with us?" David asked. Before anyone could answer, another message arrived. This one was from someone calling themselves Captain Red-Eye of the Void Pirates. Then another from General Vex of the Corvan Republic. Then messages from groups with names like the Savage Clans, the Steel Brotherhood, and the Night Hunters. "What is happening?" Tom asked, staring at the flood of messages. Dr. Alan Scott entered the office at that moment. He was a human anthropologist. who had been studying alien cultures since their arrival in Federation space. His face was excited. "David, I think I know what this is about. I have been researching all the species that are trying to contact us. They all have something in common, which is, they are all the species that the Federation fears. The dangerous ones. The violent ones. The ones that civilized society tries to pretend do not exist." Alan activated a holographic display that showed dozens of alien species. "Look at their histories. The Shadowrunners were once the Federation's special forces, but they were disbanded for being too aggressive. The Void Pirates used to be explorers until they decided that taking what they wanted was easier than asking for it. The Corvin Republic was expelled from the Federation for refusing to give up their military." David studied the display. "Hey, think they see something in us? I think they recognize us. For millions of years, the Federation has been breeding the fight out of its member species. They've created a galaxy of sheep. But these groups, they kept their teeth. And now they have found another species with teeth." Rachel was reading. Through more messages, "David, this one is different. It is from someone called Shadowblade Kreese. She says she wants to meet in person. She is already on this planet. A Shadowrunner is here." "How did she get past Federation security?" Alan smiled. "David, they are called Shadowrunners for a reason. She is here. It is because she wanted to be here." That evening, David met the Shadowrunner in an abandoned warehouse in the lower levels of the Federation capital city. Shadowblade Kreese was not what he had expected. She looked almost human, but her skin was dark gray, and her eyes glowed with a soft blue light. "Commander Hayes," she said, her voice like silk over steel. "I bring greetings from the forgotten children of the galaxy."
"What
do you want from us?" Kreese smiled, and David saw that her teeth were very sharp. "We want nothing from you. We want to offer you something. Alliance. Friendship. Understanding. Why? Because you are like us. The Federation looks at you and sees monsters. They want to tame you, to make you safe and peaceful like them. But we know what you really are." "What is that?" "Survivors. Fighters. The ones who refuse to be sheep." Chris stepped closer. "The galaxy has been peaceful for too long, Commander. It has made them weak. But weakness attracts predators. And there are worse things than devourers out there in the dark." David felt a chill. "What do you mean?" "Signals have been detected from the galactic core. Something ancient is stirring. Yes. Something that makes the devourers look like house pets. The Federation's peace will not save them when it arrives." "What?" Kreese handed him a small device. "This will let you contact us securely. Think about what I have said. The sheep need shepherds, Commander, and shepherds need teeth."
"Ah!"
After she left, David stood alone in the warehouse, holding the communication device. Could see the lights of the Federation capital. Beautiful and peaceful and completely unprepared for what might be coming. His communication pad beeped with another message. This one was from Captain Marcus Reed, now promoted to Admiral and commanding the growing human fleet. "David, we are getting reports from our long-range scouts. Something big is moving in the galactic core. We might need those new friends sooner than we thought." David looked down at the Shadowrunner device in his hand, then up at the peaceful lights of the city above. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the monsters were exactly what you needed. The emergency session of the Federation Council was unlike anything in their peaceful history. Admiral Marcus Reed stood before the assembled representatives of 400 species. But his words brought no comfort to anyone in the Great Chamber. "The enemy fleet consists of over 2,000 ships," Marcus reported, his voice carrying clearly through the vast space. "They call themselves the Purifier Armada. Their leader, High Purifier Sanctus, has sent us one message. They intend to cleanse the galaxy of what they call contaminated life." Ambassador Kellen's light flickered with fear. "Admiral Reed, our combined fleets number only 800 ships. How can we possibly defend against such a force?" "Your fleets cannot," Marcus said bluntly. "I have seen the battle reports from the outer systems, the Purifier's energy weapons. Cut through your ships like they were made of paper. Their shields and armor are useless against them. The Counselor Vex's many eyes focused on Marcus. Then you suggest we surrender? I suggest we try a different approach. Marcus activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy. Red markers indicated Purifier fleet positions, while blue markers showed Federation forces, but scattered. Throughout the display were yellow markers that made many of the Council members shift uncomfortably. These yellow markers represent species that the Federation has either expelled, ignored, or classified as too dangerous for membership. For the past 6 months, my people have been in contact with them. Elder Root rustled his branches nervously. Admiral, surely you do not suggest we ally with pirates and assassins. I suggest we ally with fighters, Marcus replied. Because right now, fighters are what we need. The chamber erupted in angry voices from dozens of species. The idea of working with the galaxy's outcasts was horrifying to the peaceful Federation members. Captain Lisa Morgan, who had been waiting outside, entered the chamber with a group of beings that made the Federation representatives gasp in terror. Shadowblade Kreese moved like liquid darkness. Captain Red-Eye of the Void Pirates grinned with too many teeth. General Vex of the Corvin Republic wore battle armor, stained with the victories of 100 wars. Honored Council, Lisa said calmly, I present our new allies. The Shadow Runner spoke first. We bring 100 stealth ships and the best assassins in the galaxy. You know how to strike from the darkness and disappear before the enemy knows we were there. Captain Red-Eye laughed, a sound like breaking glass. My pirates control the trade routes and know every hidden base in the Outer Rim. We have 300 fast attack ships and crews that have been fighting all their lives. General Vex stepped forward, his scarred face serious. The Corvin Republic offers 200 heavy warships and 50,000 ground troops. We have not forgotten how to wage war, even if the rest of the galaxy has. One by one, more dangerous species added there. Voices. The savage clans promised berserker warriors who knew no fear. The Steel Brotherhood brought weaponsmiths who could forge arms from asteroid metal. The Night Hunters offered scouts who could track enemies across empty space. Ambassador Kellen floated higher, light pulsing with distress. This is madness. These beings are criminals and outcasts. We cannot trust them. Marcus looked directly at the Luminary ambassador. 6 months ago, you called humans primitive and violent. You wanted to exile us to a colony world and forget we existed. But when the Devourers came, who saved your capital, the chamber fell silent. Every being present remembered the Battle of Centos Prime. The Purifiers are coming, Marcus continued. They have technology that makes yours look like stone tools. They have numbers that dwarf your fleets. And they have a faith that tells them you are all diseased and must be destroyed. Your choice is simple. Fight with allies you do not like, or die with principles you do like. Colonel Mike Johnson, who had been coordinating with the various outcast groups, stepped forward. Counselors, I have spent the last 3 months working with these species. Yes, they are dangerous. Yes, they solve problems with violence. But they are also honorable in their own way. Most importantly, they hate bullies. Shadowblade Kreese spoke again, her voice cutting through the chamber like a blade. The Purifiers represent everything we have fought against for centuries. Order without freedom. Purity without diversity. Peace without choice. They would remake the galaxy in their image, and that image has no place for any of us. Captain Red-Eye nodded. My crews may be pirates, but we chose to be pirates. Purifiers would not even give us that choice. They would simply erase us. Dr. Emma Foster, who had been studying the Purifier technology, activated another display. The enemy ships are powered by pure energy conversion. They can turn matter directly into weapons. But their weakness is the same as their strength. They cannot adapt to chaos. Their systems are designed for perfect order. What does that mean? Asked Elderroot. Emma smiled. It means we fight them with everything the Federation has spent millennia trying to eliminate. Chaos, unpredictability, violence, disorder. General Vex spoke up. My intelligence officers have been analyzing Purifier tactics. They fight like a machine. Every move is calculated. Every attack follows a pattern. But chaos has no pattern. Marcus looked around the chamber. The choice, is yours, counselors. You can try to fight the purifiers with your peaceful ways and watch your worlds burn. Or you can let the monsters of the galaxy teach you how to bite back. The vote was closer than anyone expected. 197 species voted to form the alliance. 115 voted against it. The rest abstained, too frightened to choose either side. Ambassador Kellen's light dimmed as he announced the result. The motion passes. The Federation will ally with the outcast species to fight the purifier threat. At night, in a secure conference room, deep within the Federation capital, the strangest alliance in galactic history was born. Marcus signed agreements with beings that most civilized species had nightmares about. Each group brought their own skills, their own ships, their own reasons for fighting. Admiral Reed looked at the assembled representatives. Human commanders sat next to alien pirates. Federation diplomats worked alongside Shadowrunner assassins. Corvin generals planned strategies with Savage Clan berserkers. "What do we call ourselves?" asked Captain Morgan. Shadowblade Kreese smiled her sharp-toothed smile. "We are the ones the galaxy feared to acknowledge. We are the teeth in the darkness. We are the Predator Alliance." The name was perfect. For the first time in millions of years, the galaxy's predators were working together, and they had found the perfect leaders in a species that understood both civilization and savagery. Marcus activated the communication system. "All Allied fleets, this is Admiral Reed. Set course for the Purifier Advance Forces. Time to show them what happens when sheep grow fangs." Across the galaxy, hundreds of ships from dozens of species began moving toward the coming battle. The Purifiers expected to find a peaceful galaxy ready for cleansing. Instead, they were about to meet every nightmare the galaxy had to offer, led by the species that had taught them all how to hunt as a pack. The war began at the edge of the galaxy, where the first Purifier scouts met the Predator Alliance's advanced forces. Admiral Marcus Reed stood in the command center of the Alliance flagship, watching dozens of screens that showed battles raging across 20 star systems. "Status report," Marcus called out. General Robert Taylor, the human tactical commander, looked up from his displays. The Corvin Republic engaged Purifier forces at Sigma Station. They held for 6 hours before falling back. The Shadowrunners hit 3 Purifier supply lines and disappeared before they could respond. The Void Pirates are harassing their rear guard. Casualties? Light on our side, heavy on theirs.
Act like that.
The enemy is confused by our tactics. That was the key to everything. The Purifiers fought like a perfect machine, every move calculated and precise. But the Alliance fought like a storm, chaotic and unpredictable. Where the Purifiers expected order, they found madness. Captain Lisa Morgan's voice came over the communication system. "Admiral, we have a problem at the Centauri defense line. The Purifiers are adapting faster than expected." Marcus frowned. That was not good news. "Put me through to the defense commanders." The main screen showed 3 faces. Commander Beth Clark led the human forces. Shadowblade Kreese represented the Shadowrunners. Warlord Grix of the Savage Clans snarled from his battle bridge. "Talk to me," Marcus said. Beth spoke first. "The Purifiers have changed their tactics. They are no longer advancing in perfect formations. They're spreading out, trying to eliminate our ability to use guerrilla tactics." Shadowblade Kreese nodded. "They have learned to expect ambushes. My ships are having trouble getting close enough to strike." Warlord Grix roared his frustration. "My warriors want to charge their ships, but these energy weapons cut through our armor like it is nothing." Marcus thought quickly. The Purifiers were learning, which meant the Alliance needed to change faster than they could adapt. "All commanders, new orders. Stop fighting like separate groups. From now on, we fight as one pack." "What do you mean?" Beth asked. "Mixed units. Humans provide tactical coordination. Shadowrunners provide stealth. Pirates provide speed. Corvins provide firepower. Savages provide courage. No more separate attacks. We hunt together." Dr. Kevin Roberts, working with alien scientists in the research station, had been studying captured Purifier technology. His voice came over a secure channel. "Admiral, I think we found their weakness." "Go ahead, Doctor." Purifiers derive their power from something they call the pure source. It is located in their home system, and more importantly, their weapons are all connected to it through some kind of energy network. If we can disrupt that network, their entire fleet becomes vulnerable. Marcus looked at the tactical display. The Purifier fleet was advancing on 12 fronts, but they all traced back to a single point of origin deep in the galactic core. How do we disrupt it? We need to get close to their command ships. Each one acts as a relay point for the network. If we can destroy enough relays, the whole system will collapse. Getting close to their command ships means going through their entire fleet, General Taylor pointed out. Marcus smiled. Then that is exactly what we will do. 3 days later, the largest space battle in galactic history began at the Nexus Point, where 7 major hyperspace routes met. The Purifier Armada had massed 2,000 ships there, expecting to break through Alliance lines and strike at the heart of Federation space. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by an enemy that fought like nothing they had ever encountered. Staff Sergeant Jennifer Walsh led a mixed unit of humans, Corvan warriors, and Savage Clan berserkers in a boarding action against a Purifier cruiser. The enemy ship's corridors were filled with beings of pure energy that wielded weapons of living light. "Remember the plan," Jennifer shouted over the sound of weapons fire. "Humans coordinate, Corvans provide heavy fire, Savages take point. Stay together and watch each other's backs." The mixed unit moved through the ship like a single organism. When the Purifiers tried to surround them, the Savage warriors charged forward while the Corvans laid down covering fire. When energy barriers blocked their path, the humans found alternate routes while the Shadow Runners disabled security systems. It should not have worked. The different species had different fighting styles, different weapons, different ways of thinking. But somehow, under human coordination, they became more than the sum of their parts. Captain Red-Eye led a squadron of pirate ships and human fighters in a strike against the Purifier flagship. The massive vessel was protected by energy shields that no weapon could penetrate. But Red-Eye had not become the most feared pirate in the galaxy by following rules. "All ships, follow my lead," Red-Eye called out. "You're going to thread the needle." His mixed squadron dove toward the Purifier flagship, weaving between energy blasts that could vaporize entire moons. Just when it seemed they would crash into the shields, Red-Eye led them through a gap that lasted only seconds, created by perfectly timed strikes from his human wingmates. Inside the shield perimeter, the small ships were like insects attacking a giant. But these insects had stings. In space around the battle, Shadowblade Kreese coordinated stealth attacks with human tactical officers. Shadowrunner ships would appear from nowhere, strike at vulnerable points, and vanish again before the Purifiers could respond. But now they were guided by human intelligence that knew exactly where and when to strike. The Purifiers fought back with desperate fury. Their energy weapons carved through Alliance ships. Their pure warriors boarded enemy vessels with weapons that could cut through any armor. But for every Alliance ship they destroyed, they lost 2 of their own. High Purifier, Sanctus, watched the battle from his command throne and could not understand what was happening. His perfect fleet was being torn apart by chaos itself. Every time his forces adapted to one threat, 3 new ones appeared from unexpected directions. "Analysis," he commanded his subordinates. "The enemy uses no standard tactics," one reported. "Their formations change constantly. Their attack patterns have no logic. Their coordination is impossible," another added. "They use dozens of different species with completely different capabilities, but they move as if controlled by a single mind." Sanctus focused his energy senses on the enemy fleet and finally saw the truth. The humans were not just another species in the Alliance. They were the center of it. Every other species moved in response to human commands, but those commands were not orders. They were suggestions that each species adapted to their own strengths. "Fascinating," Sanctus whispered. "They have weaponized diversity itself." The battle raged for 18 hours. When it ended, half the Purifier fleet was destroyed or disabled. The remainder retreated toward their home system. But they were no longer the unstoppable force they had been. Admiral Reed stood on the bridge of his damaged flagship and looked at the reports coming in from across the battlefield. The Alliance had won, but at a terrible cost. Hundreds of ships were gone. Thousands of warriors from dozens of species had died. But they had proven something important. The Purifiers could be beaten. Admiral Captain Morgan reported, "We are getting surrender requests from 12 Purifier vessels. They want to join the Alliance." Marcus was surprised. They want to defect? Shadowblade Kreese appeared on the screen, her ship damaged but her spirit intact. Some of them are beginning to understand that purity is not strength. They want to learn what we have learned. General Taylor looked up from his tactical display. "Sir, long-range sensors show the main Purifier fleet is falling back to their home system." But they are not running. They are preparing for a final battle. Marcus nodded. The war was not over. The hardest fight was still ahead, but now he knew they could win. The galaxy's outcasts had found their purpose, and the galaxy's predators had found their pack leader. All ships, prepare for the final assault. Time to show the Purifiers what happens when the sheep refuse to be slaughtered. The Lumina system blazed with the light of 10,000 suns as the final battle began. The Purifier homeworld hung in space like a perfect crystal sphere, surrounded by the last 1,000 ships of their once mighty armada. At the center of it, all-weighted high Purifier Sanctus aboard his flagship, a vessel of pure energy that pulsed with the power of their dying. Civilization Admiral Marcus Reed stood on the bridge of the Alliance flagship, surrounded by holographic displays showing the positions of over 1,500 Allied vessels. Ships from 30 different species hung in formation around him. From sleek human destroyers to massive Corvin battleships, from shadowy runner stealth craft to the wild, painted vessels of the savage clans. "Final status report," Marcus called. "Out." General Robert Taylor looked up from his tactical display. "All Allied fleets report ready for battle. The humans will coordinate the main assault. Shadowrunners will handle infiltration missions. Void pirates will strike at their supply lines. Corvins will provide heavy bombardment support." Captain Lisa Morgan's voice came over the communication system. "Admiral, we are detecting massive energy buildup from the Purifier flagship. They are preparing something big." Before Marcus could respond, the space around the Purifier fleet began to glow with blinding light. When it faded, every Purifier ship was surrounded by a barrier of pure energy that made their previous shields look like paper. "Analysis," Marcus ordered. "Dr. Kevin." Roberts appeared on screen from the science vessel. "They have connected their entire fleet to their homeworld's core. Every ship now has access to unlimited energy. This is their last stand, Admiral. They're going to throw everything they have at us." "High Purifier," Sanctus's voice boomed across space, somehow reaching every Alliance ship simultaneously. "Creatures of chaos and contamination, you forced us to reveal our ultimate power. Behold the pure source in all its glory. Your corruption ends here." The Purifier fleet began to advance, their weapons charging with energy that made stars look dim. Where their beams touched Alliance ships, entire vessels simply ceased to exist. Converted to pure energy and absorbed into the Purifier network. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," Marcus ordered.
Ow.
"Do not let those beams touch you." But the Alliance had learned much during the Long War. Instead of retreating or trying to match the Purifier's firepower, they did something the enemy could not understand. They scattered. Human ships dove toward the planet's surface. Shadowrunner vessels simply vanished from sensors. Pirate craft began moving in random directions at maximum speed. Corvin battleships spread out across the entire system. Savage Clan raiders charged directly at the enemy, howling battle cries that echoed across space. "What are they doing?" demanded one of Sanctus's subordinates. "This is not a tactical formation. This is chaos." "Exactly," Sanctus whispered, and for the first time in his long existence, he felt something like fear. The battle became unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of neat formations and predictable tactics, it became a swirling storm of violence and confusion. Alliance ships appeared from every direction, struck hard, and disappeared before the Purifiers could respond. Captain Nicole Davis led a mixed squadron of human fighters and savage clan raiders in a desperate assault on the Purifier flagship. Her ships were tiny compared to the massive vessel, but they moved like a swarm of angry insects, impossible to target effectively. "Remember the plan?" Nicole called out to her pilots. "We are not trying to destroy that ship. We just need to get one person inside." That person was Staff Sergeant Jennifer Walsh, riding in a specially modified stealth pod provided by the Shadow Runners. As the space battle raged around her, she guided her tiny craft through the chaos, heading for a small maintenance port on the Purifier flagship that Dr. Roberts had identified as their best entry point. The pod's systems were alien too. But Jennifer had trained for months with Shadow Runner technology. She slipped past the energy barriers, avoided the defensive systems, and landed inside the enemy ship without being detected. The interior of the Purifier flagship was like being inside a star. Every surface glowed with pure energy, and the air itself seemed to sing with power. Jennifer moved carefully through corridors that bent space around them, following directions from Dr. Roberts that led toward the ship's core in space around the battle. Admiral Reed coordinated the most complex military operation in galactic history. He had humans tracking enemy movements, shadow runners appearing behind enemy lines, pirates striking at weak points, and berserkers charging wherever the fighting was thickest. "Status report on the boarding mission," Marcus called out. Amy Johnson, now his communications officer, looked up from her console. "Jennifer is inside the flagship. She is moving toward the core, but the energy fields are interfering with our signals." Inside the Purifier ship, Jennifer found herself face to face with High Purifier Sanctus himself. The being was enormous, made of pure energy contained in a roughly humanoid shape. When he spoke, his voice was like the sound of creation itself. "A contaminated creature dares to enter the heart of purity," Sanctus demanded. "You will be cleansed along with the rest of your species." Jennifer smiled and pulled out a device that Dr. Roberts had built from captured Purifier technology. "Sorry, but I have got other plans." The device was simple in concept, but devastating in application. It would reverse the polarity of the pure source, turning their unlimited energy into unlimited chaos. Instead of order, there would be disorder. Instead of purity, there would be diversity. "You cannot," Sanctus said, his energy form flickering. With something that might have been panic, pure source has existed since the beginning of time. It is perfection itself. "Maybe," Jennifer said as she activated the device. "But perfection is boring." The explosion of reversed energy tore through the Purifier fleet like a wave of pure chaos. Ships that had been identical became unique. Energy beings that had been perfectly ordered became wonderfully diverse. The rigid network that had connected them all shattered into a million different possibilities. Some Purifier ships simply stopped fighting their crews, suddenly able to think thoughts they had never been allowed to think before. Others changed direction and began attacking their own former allies. A few even sent messages to the Alliance, asking what it felt like to choose their own path. High Purifier Sanctus himself underwent the most dramatic change of all. His perfect energy form became chaotic, shot through with colors and patterns that had no order or logic. But instead of dying, he seemed to become more alive than he had ever been. "What have you done to me?" he asked, but his voice no longer boomed with authority. It was curious, almost wondering. "I gave you what every living thing deserves," Jennifer replied. "The right to be imperfect." The battle ended not with destruction, but with transformation. The Purifier fleet, no longer bound by their obsession with order, began to fragment into dozens of smaller groups. Some wanted to continue fighting, but for their own reasons, rather than their programming. Others wanted to explore what it meant to be individuals. A few asked to join the Alliance, curious about what they could become. Admiral Reed stood on his bridge and watched the aftermath of the strangest victory in galactic history. They had not conquered their enemies. They had freed them. "Admiral," Captain Morgan reported, "we are getting communication requests from over 200 Purifier vessels. Most of them want to negotiate. Some want to surrender. A few want to join us, and the rest. They are asking for directions to unexplored space. They want to find out what it means to choose their own destiny." 6 months later, Admiral Reed stood in the same chamber where the Galactic Federation had first offered humanity a small colony world and 1,000 years of silence. But now the chamber looked very different. Ambassador Kellen was still there, his light now a mixture of colors rather than pure white. Counselor Vex sat beside representatives of the Shadowrunners, the Void Pirates, and the former Purifiers. Elder Root's branches now bore fruits of different shapes and colors. Commander Beth Clark, now serving as humanity's chief ambassador, addressed the assembled delegates. The Galactic Defense Consortium is officially established. Our mission is simple: to protect the right of every species to exist as they choose to exist. The new government was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. There were no rules about being peaceful or civilized. Species could be as violent or as gentle as their nature demanded, as long as they respected the rights of others to be different. Dr. Emma Foster, now heading the consortium's science division, presented her final report on the war. We learned that diversity is not weakness. It is the source of all strength. When different species work together, they become capable of things that none of them could accomplish alone. Admiral Reed, now Supreme Commander of the consortium's military forces, looked around the chamber at beings who had once been enemies, outcasts, and monsters. The galaxy spent millions of years trying to eliminate what it called dangerous. But sometimes, dangerous is exactly what you need. Outside the chamber, the galaxy continued to change. Human children played with young purifiers who were learning to create art instead of energy weapons. Shadowrunners worked alongside Federation diplomats to explore new worlds. Void Pirates had become the galaxy's finest explorers, their need for adventure finally given a constructive outlet. The final scene took place on a small planet on the edge of known space, where the newest members of the consortium were building their first colony. Humans worked alongside reformed purifiers, Shadowrunners, savage clansmen, and even a few of the peaceful species who had decided that maybe a little chaos was not such a bad thing. Captain Marcus Reed, finally retired from military service, watched his grandchildren playing with alien youngsters under a sunset painted with the colors of a dozen different worlds. The galaxy was no longer perfect. It was no longer pure. It was no longer safe. It was better. The last words of the story came from a message broadcast across the galaxy by the new consortium government. To all species, peaceful and dangerous, civilized and wild, welcome to a galaxy where everyone has the right to be themselves. We do not promise you peace. We do not promise you safety. We promise you freedom, and that is worth fighting for. In the distance, sensors detected new signals from beyond the galactic rim. Another threat, another challenge, another opportunity for the diverse species of the consortium to prove that together they could face anything the universe could throw at them. The galaxy was no longer afraid of its monsters. It had learned that sometimes monsters were exactly what heroes looked like.